Yes, hello, how are you? Today is a quick one. I want us to discuss hao wauni wa serikali. Unajua hii serikali ya William Ruto wamekuwa wakifikiria hata wakifanya vitu hawatajulikana. But the sad story is that wale watu wote ambao walitumika jana kuataka Gachagua ni wakatengeneza script ati Gachagua ndiye anajitengenezea wahuni, washajulikana wote. So ishakuwa confirmed ya kwamba serikali ndio ilikuwa imetuma hao wakora. Majina imetolewa, it is available everywhere kwa mtandao, so I can read them for you. So it has been confirmed beyond a reasonable doubt ya kwamba serikali ya William Ruto ndio inapanga mikora na inatuma wakora. But I don't know why the opposition now does not want to do something. Hawa watu wote wanajulikana. Hawa watu wote wanajulikana. Sasa hawa, all these guys, they are known. Hawa, hakuna mtu ajulikani. Na kama kumewahi kuwa na siku ambayo sisi kama raia tunafaa kuchukua sheria mikononi ni sasa. Why should we allow these idiots to just cause havoc to us? Why? Kwa nini tunaruhusu wajinga kama hawa wanatuletea shida katika taifa letu la Kenya? Hawa John Maina, Birash, huyu John Maina from Murang'a anajulikana. Huyu police officer attached to industrial area police station in Nairobi and also works as a personal bodyguard to Murang'a woman Bete Maina. Huyu hawa sasa ni watu wa kuchoma sasa. Hawa tuende kwa huyu mwingine Stephen Habire Shege. Unajua unless tufanye kitu noma, hawa watu hawatawaisha na wataendelea tu kucause havoc. Hawa kama kuna sasa Stephen Abire Shege from Murang'a County, a goon associated with them. Wote watu wa I'm asking a question. Hawa bwana, itabidi tuchome hawa sasa. Huyu Ambrose Manyeki Njeri, huyu hawa wanakuja wanakosa havoc, alafu sasa wanatuambia ati watu ni kujipiga, wanajipiga. Manze, enough is enough bwana. Hawa nani ajui hawa wote? Unajua these days we are in the era of technology. Ukitokezea hata kama unajificha, kuna vile tu raia watajua ni wewe. We can see who you are. Bana, tusha proof polisi hawafanyi chochote na polisi hawatusaidii. A time to help ourselves has come. Naambia a time to come. I know Gachagua hawezi ongea vile tunaongea hapa, but siku ya kujisaidia imefika. Hawa watu sasa, raia wachukue sheria mikononi mwao. Hawa ni watu sasa, hawa watu sasa wanafaa kukua wameona cha mtema makuni. Hawa I don't know why they are still on this planet. Hawa hatuwezi fanya vitu zetu sababu ya hawa wakora ati serikali inatumia hawa, alafu na wana pretend. I think enough is enough now. Tutaacha ujinga hata sisi. Ati sisi ndio tunajua kucheza vizuri. Sisi hatunanga shida. Na already tunajua wakora. Hawa wakora walikuwa wanafaa kukua, washaendewa kule wako saa hii. I don't know why even Gachagua is not able to respond that way. Press conferences are not enough. Leo Gachagua na whoever, if unataka watu wakufuate, angekuwa shatokezea na anasema tunaenda kuwafuta kule wako. I don't know, unajua saa zingine hawa watu itabidi tuchukue sheria mkononi bwana. Hawa majamaa kuna venye wameanzia kutusoma ujinga. Yes. Hapa lazima tuchukue sheria mkononi. So unfortunate that ilitendeka. So let's see kama kuna mtu ana describe hii kitu, but it's uncouth manzi. Yani hadi wakora wanajulikana tu na tumerelax tu hapa tu. Nao wakora tu wanakula wanakunywa after causing havoc, after killing a kid. Noma sana. Let me begin by celebrating. Unajua saa zingine ni vizuri we celebrate people who have done serious. Unajua Kenya sisi ni watu wa kuhagi miti. Kenya sisi ni watu wa kuhagi miti. So for the tribute of Alex Honnold, yule jamaa amepanda nyumba. Let me just show this alafu tuanzie. Just for the tribute and appreciating this guy. Sababu amefanya kitu ambayo sisi many of us cannot do. And it's a feat which anaitwa Alex Honnold.
See up there?
Panda hiyo nyumba wanaambia hapo mikono tu. Mtu akifanya kitu ya maana, let's just appreciate.
Bit of a showman in him, huh? A bit of a showman in him. I think he's been hanging out with me too much.
I must admit, it does ease my nerves a bit to see that smile. So he's having a good time. From the corner, and he has to get on top of it. And so he has to lean out, rely on his arms.
Dude,
throw his leg up.
Just put your other hand on the thing. Why is he's just one arm in it?
He's shaking his hands. He's resting a little bit. He's putting chalk on his hands. That's going to absorb the sweat.
I have recognized that. Na ndio nasema lazima tuchukue sheria.
Yeah, just go climbing.
Anakufa tu simply because kuna watu tu wanataka kufanya vitu za ujinga.
Oh my goodness.
I just want to acknowledge this guy. Huyu jamaa amepanda nyumba.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Can you just take a step back? You're making me nervous, man. Can you just like?
Oh yeah.
Can you just say yeah?
I'll go ahead and get back on the building. Start just holding on.
You're freaking me out.
All right, see you guys in a little bit. I'm gonna keep.
Nilifuata kitu yote jana. Noma sana. Somewhere in Taiwan. Mjengo refu sana. I'm just doing it as a tribute to him for being the
Climb.
one of the unthinkable.
Yeah, I mean, I know Mark was excited being up there. Oh, no.
Emily, no! Why? No!
So sisi Kenya tuendelee kuhagi miti. Mwingine waendelee kufanya vitu kama hivi. 40 years old by the way. Pia ni mzee sana. Ndio huyo.
He's done it.
Na anachukua selfie.
Look at that.
Noma.
Oh, I can hear you guys.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Let's go.
Sasa sisi wakati Kasongo tu ni kutafuta mbinu ya kutuua. This is what the people in the world are doing. Noma sana. Huyo ni bibi yake. Yeah, so that happened yesterday. Alex Honnold.
Was it really hot?
Yeah.
I think it was great.
Can't see anything.
I know. It's awesome.
Anaitwa Alex Honnold.
Oh wait, we should say hi to the kids.
Noma sana. So jana mtoto ameuawa. Courtesy of buffoons deployed by Ruto. Courtesy of buffoons deployed by Ruto. Mtoto ashakufa jana. Na tutaendelea tukua. And one time is a reality. Unajua saa zingine wanafikiria au watu wanafikiria ni kama tunacheza. One time is a reality. It doesn't matter how many politicians will be on our side. We have now seen they have started returning where they belong. Hata Gathoni wa Mushomba leo nimeona ati akisalimia Ruto hapo na angejifanya tena anasema tuta. We have already known. In fact, mtu kama Matiang'i has to come out and distance herself with the Gathoni wa Mushomba. Tulimuona na huyu Gathoni Mushomba amespy sana. Hiyo kampeni ya Matiang'i sasa inaweza kuwa tu kuna vile sasa secret zao zote zishavuka. Because Gathoni alikuwa anajifanya rafiki. Kumbe Gathoni wa Mushomba ndiye alikuwa element X. Yule ambaye anatumika enda hapo to some extent nimeanzia kuona hata kama Gachagua tunafikiria tu ni nugu hivi, jamani, kama anafikiria aliresist huyo mama kabisa. Yaani nikaanza kujiuliza, mbona huyu Gachagua anaresist huyu mama, shida yake ni nini? Kumbe alikuwa shamuonea 18. Anyway, on that one I acknowledge Gachagua, at least alikuwa na macho ya nungunungu. Alikuwa na macho ya nungunungu, aliweza kuona. Hey, wacha niwaoneshe Gathoni sasa akiwa sasa where she belongs. Hiyo lazima niwaoneshe bana, kabla niwaoneshe. Hata ndiye huyo. Akiwa kule.
I tried a ton of AI work tools. Then I tried Monday.com. Game over. Monday.com.
To say, oh, these shares of Kenya is going to enable us to. The party is a very few people.
Wacha tu unajua huyo I cannot tolerate kusikiliza huyo beshte. Wacha tu niwaoneshe huyo Gathoni mjinga sana. Ati ako kwa. Wacha tuweke hiyo. Nataka ile pale, natafuta ile pale yako. Tunajua ashaenda kwa Ruto anyway. So huyo asha spy Matiang'i kwisha. So Matiang'i itabidi ubadilisha formula hapa. Hapa. Acha tuwe.
That had stalled. Nyinyi mnajua, when we came into office, most contractors had left sites.
Yeah. So okay, acha tu. Ndio hao. Ndio huyo. Huyu ni mtu anarudi. Huyu alikuwa, this one was element X. Huyo. Hapo. That is element. Unaona tabia anajifanya sasa ati amerudi home. Huyo sasa. I needed to show you there hapo. Sasa tu wanajifanya tu venye sasa wamekutana na mkereketo, mtu anajua kufikiria sana.
Nimeona dada yangu wa Mushomba yuko hapa. Pigeni makofi.
Mtu wa Mushomba yuko hapa.
We had a big problem with Mau roads. Si ni kweli?
Unapata marije.
And that was the quarrel.
I cannot even continue beyond that. Aendelee tu kupata tu reject. Kindly confirm if Matiang'i amefanywa party leader wa Jubilee. So I don't have that information. Gathoni infiltrated Matiang'i and Kenya moja ya Sifuna and Babu. Wawa. Sai Ruto ako na data yote bana. That is why. Instincts. At least it looks like Gachagua ako na some instincts. Huyo mama alijaribu kujisukumilia kwa Gachagua bana. Kumbe na huyo mama alijisukumilia kwa Gachagua. Ani kaja kuuliza, mbona Gachagua hataki msaada ya huyu mama? Na venye alafu huyu mama akapretenda kwa pande yetu. Akapretenda. Anajifanya. Kumbe mama ni element X bana. Yamune. That's a very bad human being. That's a very bad human being. I hope tabwana ya huyo akona shida bana. Yeye akona haro mingi sana. But tutawashinda. They are not as many as us. These are just crooks. Ni wezi tu anapatana. Au tuacha tu wezi wapatane. We don't care about thieves. Yeah. We don't care about. So I don't know if the TV has been able to. Let me see what TV 47 is.
Policy expert and a frequent commentator on national issues. Prof, a chaotic church service in Othaya. What do you make of what happened yesterday?
That was an extremely unfortunate incident that should never take place in a country that claims to be democratic. It was thoughtless. A place of worship is a place of reflection. It's a place also where you can say it's a place of forgiveness. It's a sacred place. So for the government to invade it, and then they try to pretend as anyone else, when we saw of them with their AK-47s, we have seen the clips. This is very unfortunate because it also reminds us what happens in Kiamba in 207. Women and children who are burnt in a church. So if that...
Professor is spot on. Yeah, Prof is spot on there. Nime-appreciate hata vile anasema.
Kind of, they are trying to create a pre-election violence in probably an attempt to scare people. It won't work, and it's very sad. Because also when you create fear, fear only works if people believe it's temporary. But the moment the people start thinking it is permanent, then they start organizing resistance against you. So I think they should stop it because that was a government operation and the government needs to stop. The government should never be involved in crime.
Prof, when you say that was a government operation, the government says through its National Police Service that it is investigating what happened. Rivals of the impeached Deputy President, the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, say he stage managed. You don't buy that as a concept?
No, you can't buy that because, I mean, you have seen the clips, you have seen them shooting vehicles. Where can that invade a church with guns and the tear gas? I mean, honestly, I think they should stop insulting our intelligence. That's not fair. They should respect Kenyans, okay? If there was a mistake made by the chain of command, they should go directly to that mistake and stop other excuses. Because we saw it. I mean, we saw it on TV. We have seen them in social media. And you can see this clearly on JK vehicle. These are clearly police officers. But what are they telling us? We are completely lawless now? That we can have armed people roaming around with the tiangas who the government does not know. You know, that is a very dangerous animation because it will chase investors. When investors see that kind of thing, whether local or international, and then the government says is not aware, who is going to come to Kenya? That's dangerous. It's better they say there was a mistake. Those people should not have done it, then go after them. But they can't tell us they don't know. that is not a very clever statement, yes.
Prof, let me interject you there. Who stands to politically benefit from this chaos? If the government says they're still investigating, the former deputy president is certain that it was done by the government. In this back.
Yeah, that's the reason why I make a professor, because I appreciated the way you analyze this thing. There are some people who want us to pretend that it was a self-inflicted incident, whereby Gachagua was is looking for sympathy. Even government bloggers wakaanzia kurusha ati videos za kuoneshana ati hata zile pikipiki zilikuwa ati zipeleke Gachagua. But these were their own incidences which they had tried to create so that they can insinuate it. Right now, we have a list of criminals who the government used. They are people with known government positions. Huh? They are people with known government. Wako hapa. I have that list here. And don't tell me that he list here how watu wako hapa. It is propaganda. These are people. These are people who are known. Iko wapi hiyo list? Unajua bwana, hii serikali ya Ruto bwana wanatusomanga mafala sana. Yani wanatuona sisi tukue yani wajinga, yani wajinga, hata hatuwezi tumia hatuwezi tumia the lowest point of our brain. Hawa wakora wa serikali hawa. So according to serikali ya William Ruto, we are idiots. Ati sisi ni wajinga. According to serikali ya William Ruto, sisi ni wajinga na tutumia akili. Wajinga, nao macriminals wote wako. Why are you investigating and we have them? Bwana, watu waache kutusoma bwana. Tunakutana mbele. And I want to say here now, lazima ifike level where enough is enough. Hawa si watu wa kuhurumia tena hawa. Hawa ni watu wa kuweka taya. Hawa ni watu wa kuweka taya, story ishe sasa. Na mimi nasema next time tukienda hawa watu, na si ati unangojea. That is what like tunafanyanga even like in my community. Hata kama uliiba pikipiki last year na tumejua leo tunakuendea na tunakufanyia mambo. Imefika hiyo level sasa. Hawa watu wanatumwa na serikali sasa. Tukamate mmoja tuweke taya. Tukamate wawili tuweke taya. Bwana Gachagua bwana. You cannot play this way. You cannot play this way. Hawa ni watu sasa. These are bad apples in the community na lazima tumenyane na wao sasa. Ai bana. It's too much now. A kid is already dead. Courtesy of these idiots. A kid is already dead. Mtoto wako mochari sahi. What are we talking about here? In the name of you want to block somebody from talking, somebody from assembling, which is ai bana. Wasisome hivi bana. Tunamenyana na nyinyi. The beauty Wakenya washawajua. Wewe Ruto utajaribu kutafuta hata kura moja na utapata. Wewe unajifanyanga ati wenyewe ati wewe ndio mwanaume kuliko wewe, endelea tu. Wewe hata kura moja utajaribu kutafuta utaonea kwa view sasa wewe. Continue pretending ati na kupiga watu hivyo. Utajaribu kujaza hiyo kikapu yako na itajaa. Sababu kazi yako na serikali yako ni kuona watu wajinga. Ati hatuwezi tumia akili. Sisi kazi yetu tu ni kupigwa tu ati na tunasema tu ni sisi tunajipiga. Wewe tu unaona tu akili yetu tu sisi ni mazombi na wazembe. We cannot connect dots. Hatuwezi shikanisha dots. Haya ni sawa. Wewe utajipigia kura na bibi yako. Nao akina Mbarire hao ambao unafikiria ndio binadamu katika taifa la Kenya, hao ndio wale watu watakupigia kura. But sane Kenyans, hakuna mtu anaweza pigia wewe kura. You must be a very serious idiot kupigia Ruto kura with all these things which are happening. Open attacks. Raia anakuwa attacked openly. Na then serikali inadanganyana. Since when? How can serikali inaweza kuwa reliable aje? How can you rely on a government which lies in the camel? That we are not aware. We don't know. Is a self-inflicted. How do you trust a government which lies to you? Ruto wewe ni one time wewe unaenda bwana. Enough is enough. We cannot deal with a lying government. Wacha hivyo unajifanya. Na afadhali hata hii Kenya tukate ukituibia kura yetu. We cannot allow you anymore. Ushatufika hapa. Wewe ushatufika hapa. Ushatufika hapa. You will assemble those goons na watoboi. Ushatufika kosa hii. Wewe ushatufika. Unajua historia tunajifanya lazima tukuchague kwa lazima. Wewe ushatufika kosa sasa. Tutamenyana sasa.
Forth in these squabbles, who stands to politically benefit, if any?
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Well, first of all, only the government has the power to carry guns. We don't give guns to civilians. You saw them shooting vehicles. So the number one, on the government can make that kind of an operation. Individuals cannot. That's why we have National Intelligence Service. That's why we have CID. So that anybody planning a crime is apprehended even before they commit it. But if they can embrace and come in the broad daylight, throw tear gas and get away, is the government in a misguided belief that they can create fear. Okay? And then that fear will lead the people probably to not participating in the election. This is election related, and it is wrong. It should not happen in this day and age. People have struggled to have a society where political contestation is by the mouth, is not by rungus and guns. So to return us to the new era, where you have to use guns in order to be armed, is to do Kenyan disservice. I think people shouldn't be able to settle their agenda without the violence. This country needs peace. And we also need the people who need to respect the Kenyans to interpret what is happening. You see, if the agenda is to scare Kenyans and make sure Gachagua doesn't go to any chance because people run away because they are afraid of being tear gassed, they may actually force them to even go more. You see, what happens when the political leaders are humiliated, and this happened a lot with Raila. Every time Raila was humiliated, the Luos followed him even more. So every time we humiliated that Gachagua, you are forcing the Kikuyus to follow him. Because that's just what happens when you humiliate their leader, you humiliate the community.
Right.
So the implementation tactics are not very clever tactics.
Professor, this is not the first time.
In governance, that's not how you govern.
Professor, this is not the first time the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua has been tear-gassed. He says this is a systematic government way of dealing with him, which begs the question, why Gachagua? Is it because, as some say, he is a consequential opposition leader ahead of the 2027 polls?
Precisely, there has been many, but I think you need to look deeper. I think what they want to do is to divert attention from who they think is actually a more serious candidate into Gachagua, because by now having him covered the way he was covered yesterday in all the radios, the TVs, and so on, is an attempt to elevate him. I think that is one reason. The other reason, it may be simply directed at his community, just to frighten them, so that if Gachagua come to any church, people just run away because they are afraid of being tear gassed or being shot. So there are two things here. Either they want to lift him, make him consequential, because we have to remember that the Mount Kenya region, and he left the UNDA when Gachagua was there. They didn't leave after Gachagua was impeached. Gachagua is the one who is following them. So it can't be that he is so important, so significant, because even if Gachagua were to be presidential candidate, I'm not persuaded that people are already, they will vote for him. I think there's a different interpretation here. I think what is happening here is either they want to elevate Gachagua or they want to undermine him because he is effective. His communication is dangerous. And therefore, there is an attempt to undermine him. But I think it is wrong. That's not how you do it. Just sell your program, tell us your success, and then we'll vote for you. You don't have to tear gas people in the church. You don't have to create fear. That is not how governance is done. And I think making people fearful and generating hate is not a very clever way of getting legitimacy. Because in government is about legitimacy.
And Professor, in a country where political victimization is often translated to a political goal scoring and point picking, does he benefit from this in reference to Rigathi Gachagua, the person, the tear gas notwithstanding?
No, he does. Gachagua in a way doesn't benefit because the Kenyans don't like oppression. You see, the Mount Kenya people supported Ruto heavily because they saw that was being oppressed by Uhuru Kenyatta. So you can generate sympathy that way. Because the people don't like betrayal, they don't like operation. People want to deal with other people fairly. Because you see, the danger of lawlessness is that they can spread. Remember, it's not just the police, but the police plus goons. Now, if these goons are not the police themselves, they are actually civilians. What happens here is the government is outsourcing now the right to use violence to civilians. Those civilians, at one time, you may not be able to control them. You remember Mungiki, the way Mungiki was created during the Moi era. Eventually, Mungiki went out of control, and it became a problem to the government, especially to Kibaki government. So government should never outsource its obligations to protect the people and the property. It should never do that, because once the government enters that arena, then it has created a problem for itself and for its people.
All right, Professor Gitile Naituli is our guest tonight. He's a governance and policy analyst, a frequent commentator on the country's politics. Time for us to take a short break. We will be back with this discussion after the break. Stay with us.
Yeah, that was one of the analysts who has decoded it very well. How walikuwa wakora walikuwa instituted by the government. And there's no two ways to explain that. And we are in a very serious situation now where the government is a source of insecurity. It's not a joke. Let's see how different people from different quarters are reacting to the same. And the only people who are saying they are self-inflicted wounds, ni wajinga.
What makes Zaxby's giant chicken finger quesadilla so giant? Crispy fingers, sauce, and...
It was planned. People sat down and planned this. Whether scripted or otherwise, people sat down and planned it. And in their script, the police was involved. And that is my worry, that even if it's Gachagua who staged, if he has that kind of access within the police service, shouldn't that be worrying us?
It should. And thank you very much, Ndimuli. I think I would like to give you some little background about Witima area, because it's a place I'm quite familiar with. Witima is a silent village in Othaya. It's a village that produces very good arrowroots, and therefore it's a market. It's a marketplace most of the time. People traveling to Murang'a and Nairobi will stop there to do their shopping, either to buy arrowroots or other farm produce. Now, having known Othaya and campaigned there, Othaya is our silent sister, because Nyeri has 6 constituencies and Othaya is one of them. Othaya is a bit timid, politically speaking, because Othaya is not like Madeira and Kieni, where politics is, happens to be a little volatile. I come from Madeira, which kind of...
We've heard about...
Yeah. But there's something, I want to point out something. In Madeira, we have never known peaceful campaigns or peaceful elections, including right from the 80s, What I can remember is like late 80s, because I was a young girl, early 90s, through to where we are today. Madeira is known for violence, political violence, and the kind of violence you saw there personally, as someone who comes from the county, I didn't expect to see that in Nyeri. There are some constituencies in Nyeri that are known for sobriety. Othaya is home to the late His Excellency Mwai Kibaki, and his version and the way he did his politics was quite different. Again, different from how people from Madeira behave and how we do our politics. And therefore, we could be exporting a bit of bad manners from my constituency. And I say that boldly because I know the area. Having said that, first of all, and I agree with you totally, as someone who has been subjected to political violence before, and I know for sure at some point the police were used to assault me openly in a meeting, to a large extent, I'm not surprised that the police are being used now. But then the question is, if we are saying that the police are being used by the opposition, I think that is what should worry us. Because most of the time, the law enforcement agencies will be aligned to the government. If there are now tendencies and occurrences where the opposition has a hand in this, because we really don't know. Until this issue is investigated properly and we get to know what exactly happened, that should worry us, because then it would mean that we are talking about a divided force. So maybe the one, and I've listened to the party leader of DCP, and I am in no way supporting what happened to him yesterday. It is very unfortunate, and he does not deserve it. If it is the government meting this kind of violence on him, really, it is wrong. However, there's a time he said publicly on national TV that he said, and I quote, that I have people in NIS, I have people in the police service who feed me with information. That is very telling. And that should worry us.
Okay.
Now, if it is the government doing this, and it is not beyond the government. And I say this because when the Gen Zs went to the streets, and I quote them all the time, we saw the number of policemen who were on the street masked, and you couldn't identify them. You remember, what happened to the young people? They were abducted, they were killed, and all manner of things. And at that point, we saw policemen who were protecting the goons on the streets of Nairobi. So again, going by that evidence, it is not beyond the government to have that kind of, a group of policemen who are out to violate the rights of people in the opposition.
Right.
And
So, when Odede, 18 months to election, we saw what happened with the by-elections of November last year, and the kind of
No, Masana. So it's out there. Don't accuse me of narrative. She was asked to deny, and she hasn't said zilch. Let's see. Nasikia Gathoni alikuja America akasema akona tons of kahawa supply for an American person and took big check. Then she bounced. Now she wants Ruto protection. Let me enjoy my political sabbatical leave in peace. Wasapere area heading back to UDA like nonsense Nabado. To be fair, play the clip. Gachagua said that. Also, play the low intelligence clip. So unataka nicheze video ile ya Gachagua alitoa. Let me see. Alifanya a full interview jana. No, press conference. Let's hear this one.
Well, so just who is to blame for yesterday's violence in Nyeri County? Well, leaders from Mount Kenya region are now engaged in blame game, with former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua laying the blame squarely on Murang'a Women Representative Betty Maina and her husband, Madeira Member of Parliament Eric Wamombi. But the National Police Service has been put on the spot over the attack, which infringes on the right to worship. The attack, together with several others, have taken place, and yet no one has been brought to book. For how long will such an ugly backward trend continue? Jeff Kirui reports.
Since his ouster as the deputy president in October 2024, Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua has found himself in an unfamiliar territory, having to undergo a treacherous path of violence from the streets and now to churches. But in the chaos that have stalked Gachagua, two names feature prominently.
Attack was organized by government, by the police, and by the two members of parliament, Eric Wamombi and his wife, and they are now with the police officers celebrating in Kaminyaka, here in Madeira.
Gachagua has singled out Betty Maina's security personnel and close allies he alleges are used to mobilize goons to attack him in his meetings.
These officers attached to Betty Maina are the ones that attacked us in Kagio, they attacked us in Narok, they attacked Senator Nyoto in Murang'a.
Eric Wamombi, the MP for Madeira, Betty Maina's spouse, has however dismissed Gachagua's accusations.
The question I'm asking, why are you only attacked in churches?
The accusations and counter-accusations from both sides have cast a spotlight on the National Police Service. No one has been summoned to record statements, be it the complainant or the accused. Why hasn't anyone been apprehended by the police? Why has the government failed to tame the escalating politically instigated violence that is spilling to places of worship that hosts even the most vulnerable in the society, the elderly, children, and people with disabilities?
I'll be recording a statement with the DCI tomorrow at 11 a.m. I challenge you. to also come and record a statement.
Former Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i has called out President William Ruto's administration following Sunday's attack in Witima Church.
They are walking the country themselves to disaster because you will never have enough bullets for 55 million or so Kenyans. And you can't shoot your way to electoral victory or what have you. You cannot intimidate people.
Gemawadho, an association of advocates from the Mount Kenya and Kamba region, have escalated the issues, threatening to institute private legal proceedings against the National Police Service and specific police officers believed to be behind the tear gassing of the worshippers at Witima Church.
The principle of individual criminal responsibility and the principle of command responsibility will not be wasted because you're not in power. Whether you're in office or you're not in office, we will come for you.
Accountability must go beyond the officers on the ground and extend to those who planned, authorized, or failed to stop this operation. Justice must be real, visible, and uncompromising.
Jeff Kirui, KTN.
Wacha nitafuta hiyo video, nani ananiambia, Alex ananiambia, lakini niko noma. The level of impunity which is being done in Mlima Kenya, bwana, watu wa Mlima itabidi mutusaidie. So let me look for Naruto tu anaendelea tu na kuassemble tu watu tu bila hata kujali. Yeah. Let me put Gachagua because ni kama okay, let me see what Alex is saying. Alex anasema where Gachagua said he has where Gachagua, you said where the raw intelligence creep to be fair. President Gachagua said that. Wow. Hebu nitaipata. Let's see. Let me play this.
People don't like Ingipins. Oru never became one. Kebagi never became one. Here is where leaders follow the people. So he can say whatever he wants about him having 70 million votes also. That one I don't know because people don't like Ingipins. Oru never became one. Kebagi never became one. Here is where leaders follow the people. So he can say whatever he wants about him having 70 million votes also. That one I don't know because this community is fairly educated and everybody will settle their program to them. They won't be able to judge that time when the time comes for voting. Now, the innovation of the church is traumatizing to those children. If you have seen that, no government shouldn't do that to the young generation because those fellows, those young people who are in there, they'll be like animal. Animal eventually destroyed Rome because of what the Romans did to him when he was a baby. So you don't do traumatize, you shouldn't do any young as you know in the church. The women come with their children there. tear gas can kill small babies because it's very dangerous gas. So the way we see it, we just can't make sense about it because you cannot see any responsible leader ordering that kind of an operation. If they want Gachagua, they should go and get him in his home. Right. Not in the church where there is innocent people who have come to commune with God. Then suddenly their own government is all over with live bullets and the tear gas is wrong.
Professor, you say he is not the kingpin. He is on record saying no one will be elected on another party apart from his. He's quite confident that he is speaking to the region politically, isn't he?
Yeah, but you can be confident. I mean, he's a politician, so he can express his confidence, but the reality can also be different. There are many parties in Mount Kenya. I mean, there's DCPS, but there's PLOP, there is party PNU, there is a lot of parties. Some of them are called no pale. I don't know what that is supposed to mean. So he can't say everybody must go in his party, but he has a right to say that. You see, Article 37 of the Constitution gives everybody the right to popularize and they say of their party, and they say that I'm the only one, like he is saying. That is his political right. Nobody should begrudge him for that. That's what you are saying. Others should also go and they say, you are only going to be elected on my party. That is their also right. So they cannot take that as an offense. It's allowed by law. It's right under Article 38. And remember, the Bill of Rights, Chapter 4 of the Constitution, those rights are given by God. They are not given by government. So they cannot be violated because somebody is exercising that right.
And Professor, finally, just on the question.
Monday.com, the opposite of any work platform we tried in the past. We tried other work management platforms, not naming names. They all
Yeah, so hizo clips za Gachagua akiongea story ya intelligence, I don't know, but I'm getting difficult to find them. So maybe tukikuwa wengi I will look for them. I will dive deep more and nijaribu kuangalia. But I don't think whatever has happened to Gachagua is something which you can pin on him. Hilo ni jambo ambalo it was brought to him, and Ruto is to blame together with his minions. Wacha niweke Matiang'i to also respond on the same. Unajua professor ako kwa Martha Karua. You have also to understand that. So, but the main thing professor anasema ni mlima watu viongozi ndio wanafuata watu. Maybe you can audit that statement. You can tell me that statement true or false. Aya, wacha Matiang'i react.
What happened yesterday in Othaya Nyeri is very shameful, honestly. It's unthinkable that young kids who...
Yeah, and Matiang'i needs also to position us. Walikuwa wamefikishana na Gathoni wapi? Now that Gathoni amerudi kwa Ruto, we also need to understand that. Ama tu ilikuwa tu, lakini huyu Gathoni ameconfuse watu. Kai.
Who woke up in the morning to go to Sunday school would be tear gassed in the manner in which they are tear gassed without cause. There is no crime they had committed. They were not in the wrong place. They were in the place they wanted to be in at that particular time. The poor old women running around, away from tear gas and harassment is very, very shameful. And I've often said, for our political leaders, don't listen so much to the words they tell you, especially the ones in government. Look at their actions. Because how would a confident government do that? Because a government that's confident and has no problem with its population, with its people, why would they allow that kind of thing to happen? Okay, fine. Now, with tremendous respect, and I'm happy myself that the senior leaders of government, including His Excellency the Deputy President, whom I have a lot of respect for, And the Minister for Interior have said, agree with us that what happened is shameful and it's something that ought not to happen. Now, let's move to action. Let's see what action will be taken and so on, because that is what is going to tell us the sincerity or genuineness of this. Let's see what's going on. The pictures are all over the place. Those guys carrying AK-47 and so on. And then you see some strange things being said by leaders. Like I saw one leader from Laikipia saying something laughable, that Gachagua organized that so that he can seek sympathy. If he organized it, it's against the law. So why don't you arrest those people he was organizing that with? And this happened when Natembeya was attacked in Kabuchai. It was the same response. This is finally what is very stressful to me, to be honest with you, is this. 2/3 of these senior leaders in the security sector are people I worked with. I know them very well. Some of them are fairly decent people. I have said this and I don't mind repeating it again. The Inspector General, Mr. Kanja, is one of the best police officers in the country. He was my GSU commandant when I was Minister for Interior. I mean, the DCI, hawa ni watu tumefanya kazi nao na ninawajua. Some of them are going to retirement. Why do they want their careers to be soiled by that kind of nonsense perpetrated by some third-rate politicians who have problems, and they think the best way to square out the issues is to go and beat up innocent children and women. And finally, for government, and with tremendous respect, mimi naheshimu serikali. I respect our leaders in government. You know, they are walking the country themselves to disaster, because you will never have enough bullets for 55 million or so Kenyans, and you can't shoot your way to electoral victory or what have you. You cannot intimidate people. You can't replace proper engagement with the public. So this effort of trying to create situations like some countries in the region is not going to work. Let's go to electoral contests. Kila mtu afanye yake. Wananchi wakiamua vile wataamua, basi hivyo ndivyo itakuwa. And then those in authority need to understand, in any case, by the way, this is the electoral mandate, which means it has an expiry date. If it comes to a point where it has expired in your case, you don't have to beat innocent children and women about it. Go say sasa vile imekuwa iko namna hii, you know, kutakuwa na siku ingine. That is how life is, and that's how we become a mature country. But we shouldn't go the way that happened yesterday. Very, very shameful. And we have seen this again and again and again. The level of arrogance that you see, goons, you know, armed people moving around. And then, you know, for me, no one will tell me, will give me lectures about, oh, we didn't know what was happening. A leader, a national leader of Gachagwa's stature, when they move to a particular place and they're going to have a function in a particular place, the counter security team knows. The National Intelligence Service officers in that area knew that there was going to be a meeting that day. How can you tell me that they did not know there was a plan to disrupt the meeting? So this pretense and so on, okay, it will be tested. They have said they have all vowed action, including the Inspector General. Let's give them the benefit of doubt and wait for the action. Inaonekana wazi kuna mtindo ambao mimi leo nataka kuzungumza wazi. Yes. Ni mtindo ambao unapangwa na serikali kwa kuhangaisha viongozi wa upinzani, kwa kuhangaisha wale ambao hawaelewani nao. Huwezi kuwa na kitendo kama kile tuliona jana kule Odhaya without county security team ya Nyeri kujua ni nini ilikuwa inafanyika, kwa sababu National Intelligence Service officers wako mpaka kwa sub county. Kukiwa na kiongozi wa upinzani kama Mheshimiwa Gachagua anaenda kwa mkutano mahali 2-3 days mbele ya hiyo, wakuu wa usalama wa hiyo area wanajua kwamba kutafanyika mkutano wa aina hii hapa, na viongozi ambao watakuwa hapa ni akina nani na akina nani watakuwa na hayo maneno yote. Inawezekanaje basi kwa mkutano kama huo watu waingie pale waanze kutupatia kazi kwa kanisa na kuna serikali? Lazima walipata nafasi, walikuwa na habari mbeleni kwamba Mheshimiwa Gachagua atakuwa huko, ataabudu hapo. Saa hii nikisema wiki ijayo nitaenda kufanya misa Kisumu Central for example. Tena ndio mimi na washauri hawa ndugu zangu viongozi walio katika vitengo vya usalama. Usikubali kutumiwa kubeba uchafu wa watu na mipango ambayo inakuharibia wewe mwenyewe sifa kwanza. Inaharibu nchi yako. Na wakati mwingine ikiendelea namna hii, ikifika mahali hata unaweza kushtakiwa wewe mwenyewe na hayo maneno, na wewe una haja na hayo maneno. Wewe unataka kutumikia nchi yako, umalize kazi yako, ustaabu vizuri, uende nyumbani. Na kwa heshima kubwa sana kwa wale viongozi wetu wako kwa serikali, tafadhali tuheshimu akili na uwezo wa wananchi tunaowaongoza. Kuna mambo mengine tunaambia wananchi ambayo unashangaa kwa sababu inawezekanaje? Sasa labda kuna kitu inapangwa hapo, kuna mambo inaendelea hapo. Unaweza kuona hii si rocket science. Unaweza kuona hapo kuna kitu inafanywa hapo. Utakuja kusikia baada ya miezi 2, miezi 3, sijui passport ilitolewa, sijui nini, sijui mambo kuna ujeuri unafanyika hapo. Sasa story imeanza kuundwa.
Okay.
Unawezaje kuingia kwa ofisi ya waziri wa usalama ukae huko 5 hours? Na tena Nyayo House, sio kwingine, Nyayo House. Sababu mimi nafikiri wakati mwingine naanza kukuambia kwa maoni yangu mimi, ile usalama huko kwa Nyayo House na management ya security kwa Nyayo House ni kali hata kuliko office of the president na Harambee House.
Okay.
Alafu sasa useme tuliingia hapo, hata ukienda kwa basement ni askari unapatana nao. Lazima iwe tu ni mambo ya watu wanani wamefanya.
What if you can create your own website?
Yes, Stony PK, how are you? Good afternoon, or Amani, good evening. Stone, good evening.
Evening to you. How are you?
Yeah, today we are reacting to what happened to Gachagua in the church, where people were massively attacked. Clips have come out. Kumejulikana hata the Kenyan DCI wa raia, wachana na DCI wa serikali. DCI wa raia wameweza hata kuoneshana mapicha ni akina nani, lakini DCI wa serikali yani saa hii ati hawajui how to approach it. They are still talking of statements to at watu waende wakaandike statement, and Wamombi, who is the prime suspect in it, together with his wife. Na Stony PK, hiyo shida ya mtu na bibi yake kukua kwa serikali, no, kwa siasa. Au watu wakitana into criminals, inakuwa ni macriminals wawili wanasaidiana. So huyu Wamombi na bibi yake, they are at the center stage of causing havoc all the time, and then he is now pretending that why is Gachagua only attacked while he is in the church? The other times he aliatakiwa akiwa kwa matanga, and then wakakuja wakafake story ati Gachagua attacked himself. Through with that.
Wamombi ni huyu ametoa very detailed press conference, ndio wa Madera.
Yeah, I think ni Mbungu wa Madera, the one who was accused some time back aliua bibi yake ili awe huyu mwingine. He is a crook. He has even killed his family.
Did you have that clip of his when he gave a very detailed counter on Rigathi? Did you play it? Did you get it?
No, sijaicheza, but you want us to play it?
It's good you play it because you give people both both sides. Yeah, you play it. You don't have to play the whole length, but you can get some gist. You hear what he's saying.
Okay.
And then that way we are able to really delve into it.
Okay, wacha nimcheze. Inakaa ni kama umemsikiliza, and maybe you might have had some substance.
Confront the real issues facing this country. Why is a former deputy president who holds no constitutional office moving around with a fake police vehicle complete with a siren? A former leader without an office cannot behave like a roaming state. Kenya is not a personal convoy. Under what authority does he move with armed individuals? The law must apply in the same way to all of us, and I want to give the details of the armed people that the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua moves around with. A police constable under service number 113359 His name is William Karema Macharia. This police constable was interdicted in 2023, and he was charged in Mavoko Law Court for misusing his firearm and ammunition. He was colliding with criminals, giving out his firearm for criminal activities. And the constable, William Karema Macharia, was interdicted and charged in Mavoko Law Court. I have the documents here, which I will share with all of you. And in 2023, Rigathi Gachagua, as deputy president, he brought back this police constable through back doors to the service. And when he got out of the office, he went with this police constable. This police constable is armed. He has been moving around with him. This police constable, together with Mr. Kufai, the official bodyguard for the MP for Mukurweini, Honorable Kagushia, they have been organizing how to get tear gas for, of course, their drama. And this police constable, he has access to tear gas. He has an AK-47, which he came with in Better North. He almost, together with Mr. Kufai, the official bodyguard for Mr. Kagushia, they almost killed the CS, Honorable Alice Wahome. And when we nabbed their phones, they were communicating with the Honorable Kagushia and other goons which they had brought to Better North, and they were tracing the movements of CS Alice Wahome. The goons that were brought, some of them with guns, they are private licensed gun holders. They are organized by this police constable, William Karema Macharia. He is the one who organizes private armed gun holders to come and guard Rigathi Gachagua. The goons that were seen yesterday, and you know, Rigathi Gachagua in his first photo, he posted goons.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Entering inside the church. One of the goons he posted as a goon, he was later seen escorting him outside the church. So I'm asking Rigathi Gachagua, let us play peaceful politics. Come and sell your idea to the people. Let us stop stage managing things for mobilizing sympathy. We can do better. Why are churches being turned into political battlegrounds? Churches are for worship, not political combat. Why is one man allowed to move around with known goons? In Better North by elections, the goons even removed a long-serving member of the church from the service, beat him up, and he was admitted for over 7 weeks to get treatment. Police should arrest those goons. They are known, and their names are in public knowledge. The chief goon who organizes the goons who takes cover for Rigathi Gachagua is called Samuel Mwangi, well known as Kefeti from Muranga. So the fake narrative that goons are being brought from Muranga and bringing the name of the women rep for Muranga, who is my wife, is to cover up the chief goon who has declared himself as a general, who is called Samuel Mwangi, well known as Kefeti. His phone number is 0725 802 299. That is the chief goon who organizes these goons, and they are facilitated with tear gas by Police Constable William Karema Macharia to stage manage an incident such as what we saw yesterday. They are assisted by Rigathi Gachagua's PA, who is called Munene Wamombi, and his phone number is 0725 510 902. Munene Wamombi has been organizing goons here in Nyeri, and he was in charge of goons in Better North. In one of the videos that were recorded, you will hear the name Wamombi being called out to give directions, and people thought it's Wamombi, the MP it is not the Wamumbi MP, it is the PA for Rigathi Gachagua who was being called to give.
No, ikifika hapo, that's a lie. That's a way of hapo kuna lawyer amemwambia how to hide kuficha jina yake. Anyway, so you can react from there. Ikifika hapo it's not me, it is another Wamombi. Mi hapo ndio sisikilizangi.
Sasa utakosa kusikiza, watu wanataka kusikiza. That's why you are holding the show. Let's hear a little bit. There is something we need to let him talk a little bit. We stop when he starts repeating himself. We want to hear what is the end of what.
And in one of the videos, I have the video here. If you want me to play it, I'll give you the video. He is heard saying, Rusha kwa kanisa. Munena Wamumbi, who is Rigathis PA, he is heard in one of the videos saying, directing the goons who are throwing tear gas, Rusha kwa kanisa. And the goons who are wearing green combat are the ones who are throwing tear gas inside the church under directions of Munena Wamumbi, who is Rigathi Gachagua, Gachagwa's PA, assisted by another man from Madera constituency called Engineer Kimnywa Kimori. His number is 0722-529-997. Munena Wamumbi and Engineer Kimnywa Kimori are the one who have been organizing goons to stage manage and throw tear gas, which is facilitated. You know, if you work in a poultry farm, you will have access to eggs. This is a police constable. He has access to tear gas. From where they get it from, I don't know. So I saw people asking, where is Rigathi Gachagua getting tear gas? He is being manned by police who are interdicted, but he brought them back. And when he was brought back, he was given instructions when Rigathi Gachagua was demolishing Mavoko houses, when he was targeting Maina Njenga. He was using this William Karema Macharia to demolish and man those and give security to those who are demolishing the Mavoko houses in Kitengela. So let us not use some of these things to mobilize sympathy. I know Rigathi Gachagua more than anyone else. When I took over this office, this store here behind you, I had to destroy a lot of taser guns and needles. Those needles in Ashona Viatu. I had to destroy many of them that Rigathi Gachagua had kept in this store. And he was using them to torture people in this town, Karatina town, when he was competing with a woman called Wamaranga. He was using those taser guns and needles to torture those who did not support his candidature. And that is the nature of Rigathi Gachagua. He thrives in chaos. Rigathi Gachagua can do anything to mobilize sympathy. I know him, you don't know him. Rigathi Gachagua has beaten women in this town. Rigathi Gachagua has dragged women in this town. Rigathi Gachagua can do anything. He can do anything to mobilize politics. And I don't know why he is bitter with me. Why are you bitter with me? Just because I'm bringing William Ruto in this town? I mean, we should be tolerant with each other. And I said and I announced in this town, in this Madera constituency, that we are going to do peaceful politics. And that's why you saw him in Karatina the other day. He came, he did his politics, he insulted us, he insulted me, but no one asked him. Because I said, no one will be touched in this constituency. No one will be asked. Let everyone come and talk to their people. Rigathi Gachagua was here 3 days ago. No one threw tear gas to him. He is accusing me of organizing their constituency. If I wanted to organize, I would have organized Madera, here in Madera, where he came to insult me. After they finished, and I want to take you step by step, to take you through step by step. When they finished, or before they finished, if you look at their photos, his supporters and MCAs and Kabando and the others, they had applied Colgate. And when I saw those photos, I asked, what is this? What is this white thing? And I was told it's Colgate they apply so that they are not affected by tear gas. So how did they know that there was tear gas? They had applied tear gas, but they did not tell the congregants of Wetima SK to also apply tear gas. I want to show you a photo here of so that we show Kenyans how fake these people are and how they are not able to plan. And I want to show Kenyans how they stage managed a very ugly incident using women, using our children to mobilize sympathy in a church. This is Anita Dhumbi. She said that she was shot. You can clearly see that this is paint. I mean, how shallow can you be? What kind of nonsense is this? You are confusing people that there were chaos. You can clearly see.
Me, I don't want to listen to this idiot.
No, Jiro, let me tell you. I don't know which angle you are approaching these kind of things from, because this is the garbage that is in your country, my friend. This is the takataka that you have. You have to listen to know how to sort it out. How will you listen? This is somebody talking with all the authority, whether you like it or not. You can do.
You can listen to this guy's story.
No, listen, my friend. He was giving a press conference for your information. He has talked to the entire country. Okay, and you cannot wish him out, because the thing is, you have to know what gives him all this power to come and spill over these kind of things. Otherwise, if you ignore this, then you are not solving any problem. You'll be like some of these politicians that are just inakuwa ni kama moto ya gazeti ya makaratasi. Yeah. Now this guy should be taken directly to task by Gachagua and his supporters plus Kenyans. This is a very serious thing, that somebody is there talking and by the way, he's talking with a lot of authority, whether you dismiss him or not. And that tells you where we are headed to. Yes, this guy did his CPE well, KCPE well, 2022 or 2023. He's a toddler. He's an idiot. Mtu amemaliza from KCPE ni form 4. 2020, juzi, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And he's coming here to lecture Kenyans. This is a guy that Kenyans should descend on him and blow up his house and kill a kid and all that. But he's here with all the powers that be. He's the Sudi type. So we have to listen and start now questioning this country. Where have we sunk? Where is the road? Because this is now the person exchanging with your favorite Gachagua. Wanaenda one-on-one. Wanaenda one-on-one. Gachagua has to respond to this garbage. How? He has to take it to the highest authority in terms of legality. If I was Gachagua, I would assemble a team of lawyers and tell summon this guy to come and say this in the court of law. Let them have that debate in the court of law. Because Kenyans have to be spared from this garbage. And the only thing you do is to make sure this guy, you engage so that you exhaust that. Hiyo ikiisha ukishindikana, Njiru, then you can go the orthodox way. Because mi Njiru tukishindana nawe kotini, ukininyang'anya shamba na uende ubribe, shamba yangu upewe, sawa tukirudi nyumbani, nitadili na wewe kikwetu. Njia ile nyingine. Yaani ndio tunaambiananga kikwetu, wewe endagere goro na mimi niendeange chini. Yeah, because sasa umepata authority. Maybe you have been protected, maybe you have the money, you have the government, because this guy is talking like this because he has the protection. You know who? The Godfather. And that is how they want to drive this wheel. That's the most painful thing. So, and I like what Matiang'i has talked I like what now some of these very special analysts, kama professor ule umecheza pale mbele, huyo Mumeru ule, I'm now so happy that wanamulika torch to what we are brewing. Kile tunakoroga saa hii Njiru, what we are cooking in Kenya today will be served. And usiavoid hiyo truth, let it, because we are going to have it. Hiyo uji supu inakorogwa, itaiva na itatoka. And this is how it's done. It's not the first time in Kenya, okay? But if I were Gachagua and the other oppositions, as these people koroga the uji, I would be now preparing for antidote properly. Not even at every other time umeenda umesimama unaita conference nini. I would file, hata kama nita file every day like the way Wamtata does. Then I have that as backup. Otherwise, that's the only way to deal with this nonsense. Okay? Because he says he will produce this evidence. It's a lie. Call him to produce Njiro, utaona. Si anasema atapeana clips, atapeana hizo picha kwa polisi, ama wherever it is, it's a lie. So I would push him to produce them. And then Kenyans are given that in a law court. Ndio sasa, nikianza kutafuta kwenda ile njia ingine, hakuna mtu atanini. Because sasa, ukinionyesha kuberana mbele, na mimi nitaanza kuberana nyuma. Hiyo ni Dhinwa ilisema hivyo. Erai, Wakamba wanaitanga elai. The monkey ilisema, wewe mwanaume ndio umekuwa mwerevu, unafanya hivi na mbele, sasa nitafanya na nyuma. And for me, it is the saddest day in my life, in my country, Kenya, when I see how low we have sunk. And I'm as disgusted as Matiang'i. You could see the disgust in Matiang'i. And if I had a miracle, I would elevate Matiang'i as president today and give him one term. I tell him you have at least minimum 2 years. I want to see the indicators of the trajectory. And on your third year, I would want to see some of the results. And on your fifth year, I would want to see 60% of the rotten being cleaned, the rotten vidondas and all that. I would give Matiang'i that kind of contract with very strict terms of reference, and give him the mandate to do whatever it takes, whether democratic or not democratic. As Kenyans, we would tell him, do what you want, whether you want to become Traore, whatever you want to do to remove this kind of rot, so that we don't have this kind of nonsense people running around. Kina Mshomba, kina nani. That is what I would exactly do. Without hata bila kuangalia nyuma na mbele. Because as of now, I don't see any of those presidential candidates that is getting disgusted properly by what is going on in Kenya. Yes, that is my take.
Sawa, wacha kuna jamaa amekuanga akiongea ujinga sana, and for the first time nimesikia ni kama like ana analyze huyu jamaa. He has very been unfactual on so many things. Wacha niwaekee. Huyu jamaa
namjua sana. Ni mjinga sana. Si ni mjinga mko na guru.
Ni mjinga sana lakini ni kama mjinga. Kama mjinga ameelezeka.
Aromo mozi.
Kazi mbaya jana. Wale mahali naitwa Utaya. Let's say like this. I think we have.
I want to hear the open.
Serikali imefanya kazi mbaya jana. Wale mahali naitwa Utaya. Let's say like this. I think we have freedom of association and freedom of worship. I felt so bad wakati niliona watu tear gas zinarushwa kwa kanisa, simply because the person who is in that church ameenda kuenda ku worship hapo, ati pengine what's wrong with some people? How can you throw tear gases to a judge where innocent kids are worshiping? You know, we cannot do that in this century. It's very unfortunate. And you know, if it could have been in other developed countries, the Minister for Interior, the Inspector General, and all of the leadership of police in Central Province, they could have been sent packing. They could have been sacked by today morning. Hii maneno ya kutuambia tu wanachunguza wanafanya nini, hiyo ni vitu hatuwezi kukubali. You put yourself in the shoes of Honorable Rigathi Gachagua. Mahali umeenda kuomba watu wakuja hapo waanze kutuba matia gasi ndani ya kanisa. I remember wakati William Ruto alikuwa deputy president, alienda Murang'a. It was done to him the same. The same was thrown kwa ile kanisa pale Maragwa, sijui ni Maragwa. Wakati tear gas zilitupwa zikaingia ndani ya kanisa, and people were asking why. The same people who are relative now, they were asking that time why. Why are they doing the same to what was done to them that time? Waja watu wakuwe na heshima na watu wengine. Freedom of association waje kuwe, freedom of speech waje kuwe. Na unajua watu wengine wanafikiria ati pengine maybe very different. Maneno hata kwenda kutusi watu kusema nini hiyo huwezi upate kura kwa sababu unajua kutusi sana. Wacha tukue na watu wanaongea tu, unasema unataka kura zako. Si kama hii niliona juzi hapa, a parent came here anatoka compare 22,500. Mimi simjui because sisi hapa tukianza kupeana pesa ya CDF atulizi mtu wewe ni kabila gani, atulizi huo ulipigia nani kura, atulizi huo umetoka pande gani, we don't. So wakati msasi amekuja hapa akakuja akachukua cheki ya hata nyinyi mlikuwa hapa chini, I think those people who are here.
Endelea. Let's hear that bit.
Huyu beshi anakuanga mjinga lakini
wow. Let's hear that bit.
I give that parent akapewa cheki ya 22,500. So Saida amerudi na hiyo cheki ya kuja akaniambia mtoto wake amepelekwa Tenges. Nataka mtoe Tenges nimwombee nafasi Nakuru West Primary. So ni secondary. Mimi nikamuuliza nikamwambia what's wrong with you? We cannot allow upate pesa umtoe mtoto boarding amepita umlete hapa West Nakuru West. Nikamwambia hiyo haiwezekani bwana. Wewe enda tafuta pesa upeleke mtoto yako. Akasema hapana, sina, nilikuwa nataka nikuje ukuje kunipatia. Nikamwambia hapana, hiyo wewe nikamuuliza unatoka wapi? Akasema anatoka Kapkure. Wewe unaitwa nani? Wewe ni kabila gani? Akasema ni Mkalenjin. I said you people you don't even vote for me, but I didn't say that kwa sababu unapigia kura akose kupata ile 22,500. Yaani pesa yangu ya mfuko. Mimi ndio nataka ile mtu napea. You cannot come here waanze kuniambia ati nipe pesa. And you know, I don't know why some Kalenjin is very so bad. Nikisema ukweli ni ukweli. Hata president alienda huku kwa Karonso. Akaenda akasema ati watu ni ya mnipigie kura lakini nitawatengenezea mabarabara. What was the difference between me and him? Arabu wakade fulani, not all of them have Kalenjin who vote for me. Who said they don't vote for me? Unaona wakata ile clip mahali amesema amepata 22,000 ya waseli. Unaona hata iko hapa, I will play it for you. Mahali nasema nimempea 22,000 hawasemi. Mahali nimesema atuwe kabila gani wanauliza, na hii kabila hata sijasema ati kwa sababu wewe ni Mkalenjin upate pesa. Alikuwa amepata pesa, so kama alikuwa amepata pesa, hii maneno ya wajinga fulani wanakimbia kwa wanasema ati Arama ni mkabila ameuliza Wakalenjin wasema. And then guess what, niwaambie leo sheria inakubali sisi kama tukipeana CDF inakubali tupeane in regions. Mimi ni naweza sema region ya pale Kapkure na nini, hiyo inatakana ipewe pesa fulani mahali fulani kulingana na population ya watu. So nikiuliza wewe ni kabila gani, sijakuuliza ni kabila gani ati kwa sababu ukose kupata. Kama ile mzazi angekuwa amekosa kupata ile 22,500 is when you can say mheshimiwa discriminate against one parent. But this parent amepata 22,500. Yeye anataka nimpe pesa yangu. Na sasa nikamwambia wacha hata ungeniona kando, si hapa kwa hii watu. How many guardians have I assisted? There are too many. Wakati wanakuja hapa, me I don't even care where they voted, but kupata pesa, if you look, I want you to go through this list, muone kama hakuna wakarenji. So ndio mtu anasema ati ameenda kusema ati ameandika barua ati nisema nini, hiyo ni vitu ya upuzi hii hatutaki. Hiyo watu ndio wako na ukabila. Kama huko na ukabila, wewe upeleka ukabila yako. Hii ni Nakuru County where everybody lives and it's our right to say where we are. So wao watu wanaenda kuleta maneno ya ukabila, wanasema nini? Kama saa hii tuseme, some people might say that the Arama is not supporting the government of the day, and maybe simply because I'm in Jubilee. You can imagine a situation where Rigiji ameenda kuomba kanisa, watu wameenda ametuma tear gas. Am I going to just keep quiet and I'm a lead? Why throw tear gas to a judge? Yeah? Those are some of the things you are asking. You are not against the government. Sisai nimesupport serikali. Nimesema maneno ya president yametuambia, that is the positive thing he did, but the negative thing we must say no. The negative issues ile watu narrative wanaenda kusema huko ati mheshimiwa Arama ameenda amepeana amesema wa current engineer. I didn't say, I said that current engineer man who is removing a child from a boarding to a day school, I cannot allow. What does that mean? That was positive, isn't it? Singemwenda nimwambia leta tukupe 6,000 mtoto aenda hapo kumkataza, hiyo ni ukabila. So I think waja tuendelee namna hiyo, waja tuendelee kusaidia nchi. I said William Ruto apatiwe nafasi, alikuwa amesema kila mtu anasema scorecard. Waja tuongoje yeye atupe scorecard. Waja watu wasianze kumlaumu, tusianze kusema nini, lakini mahali makosa imefanyika lazima tuseme. And by the way, you don't need to be in the opposition as a member of parliament to point out mistakes which the government is doing. All members of parliament, we are supposed to oversight the government. So it doesn't matter where you are. So we want to see every member of parliament who saw what happened on the Rigiji to come out and condemn, so that we put the government on toes. Ndio wasiende kufanya hiyo maneno kwa mwingine.
On the third week ya February, United Opposition imeconfirm kuwa itakuwa hapa Nakuru, na tumeona ile mambo ambayo ilifanyika napoteana kule Nyeri. Maybe your message as a leader in this county, ile mambo huenda maybe itajirudia, ujumbe wako ni?
I think unajua mimi I don't like saying things I don't know. I just saw some people on social media saying that they will be here. We don't have united opposition. If I'm not there saying that they are coming, then I'm not part to it, isn't it? I cannot be part of something which I don't know. I just saw what your DCP is saying that united opposition is coming here. So far, my party leader or my presidential candidate, Honorable Matiang'i, has not told him that he's coming here. So I don't know. If they are coming, I don't know whether they are coming. But if they are coming, then I would only say that waja wakuja wause manifesto yao waende. We can't bar them from coming here. But so far I'm not part and parcel of that 26 because I've not been consulted either as a Jubilee member of parliament or as a party. We are not aware. This gentleman here is from Jubilee. He's the chairman of Nakuru Town West chairman, and he said, I don't know whether he's aware. It's not. We have not been consulted. So wale watakuja, tutasema tu wakuje. We don't have a problem, but I'm not aware.
Kuna principles wanasema the president amesema watoto waende shule hata bila pesa, without anything, but some principles wanalalamika kwamba wanakuwa option juu hakuna pesa. Maybe should the government
walikuwa option kama wamefanya nini? How do you get the new students? You get the new students and before you even start feeding them, you start getting option. You know, the principles. This is what the president said. The president said that dispatched 43 billion. He said we have dispatched 43 billion to schools. That's what the president said. So what the president is saying, continue spending the 43 billion in the one which has been sent to you as parents make arrangements to pay. That's what I started by saying. The president has not abolished issues of fees. The president has already said that we have sent 43 billion. continue using the 43 billion as the government or as the parents, like CDF, we received money just yesterday. We are going to with the balance. So what the problem with the students admitted, they continue using the ones that have received as we get this one. So those principals are just trying to be mischievous. Abuna Mundu amekuwa auction. In any case, how do you start getting auction when you have not even bought the food which the kids are home to take? That's a lie. Just like this one, they were saying that I was home to others, a teacher there. I didn't see anybody. We are telling to do the right thing. Day school, teachers will know day schools, they are free. They should not ask any child anything for that child to end up some. And in any case, after you already 22,000 in Mutumakwak. Why do you want to chase away a child for because of 6,000? Already you remember 22 yake iko huko naye. Najua kila mwalimu day school, secondary schools, they get 22,000 per child. So if the child wametuma hata nusu ya hiyo because they said they have sent 50 half of that, that's 10,000. One daughter ataingia mara ya kwanza na akuli hiyo 10,000 hiyo. Waende wangoje bwana, wasituletee siasa sisi. President amesema very clear, we must follow the instructions of the president, and I'm happy president amesema kama mimi nilikuwa nimesema hapa, mimi ile kitu nilikuwa nimeona, hata yeye alikuwa ameona hivyo. So waja wasituletee siasa hapa.
Mheshimiwa, swali tu moja. Kuna wasiwasi kubwa sana kwa kuhusiana iwapo Gachagua atakimbia Nakuru.
Kwa nini asitembee? You know, let me tell you my friends, kukataza mtu asitembee cannot make you win against him. Sasa, how many times have we seen the people here talking a lot of rubbish in Nakuru town west? I've never barred them from talking, and I've been winning. Sasa Gachagua akikuja hapa, wacha akuje. Kwa nini asikuje? Let him come. And in fact, I was telling that people, nilikuwa nimeambia ile coordinator yake Saida, nilipigia akasema tumesikia Gachagua akikuja. Nikamwambia hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Even if he comes here and calls me aniambie mheshimiwa uko wapi, nimwambie niko kwa nyumba, I will invite him to come and take tea in my house. What is the problem? He can come and take coffee ndio aingie afanye kazi yake. Akimaliza akuje nimbaie lunch aenda. Kila mtu akikuja hapa atakuwa anafanya hivi. Because we must have some freedom of speech, as the constitution said, freedom of speech, or worship, or even doing anything. Hatuwezi kusema Rigiji hawezi, but Rigiji kama hii watu yake nilikuwa naona wanaongea maneno mingi, wanaanza kusema sijui Susan Kika. Susan Kika anatokea wapi? This thing happened in your time. When Susan Kika ni kama ya Nyeri. Why are they talking about her anyway? In that speech, what you are DCP, those are the people who can now make what wants to figure otherwise, wants to let the shit up. Because I could see them talking about Susan Kika. What did Susan Kika report that? Why are they talking about her? You know, that is being, I don't know, I don't want to use a bad word, but it is not fair. Mundu anaanza kusema anasema ati Susan you and
Yeah, we can react from there, Bwana Stone. I think information is up to there. Go ahead. Huyu Best he is becoming reasonable bana. Na huyu jamani nimekuwa nikimchukia for long. Hey.
Kwa nini? Umekuwa ukimchukia kwa nini?
Huyu jamaa kuna issues zingine amekuwa akiongea hapo before. I think he is getting shape with the time. There is a time when amekuwa off sana kwa vitu zingine mingi.
You know, mimi Njiru, I'm very patient with ukianza sentence, I wait until you unaweka full stop. When you start writing a story, you might start it very off. Lakini ukisikiza, you can easily be able to pick a few things here and there. I've studied Kenyan politicians very closely, and 60, 70, 80% of them are very disgusting. Actually, 80% of Kenyan politicians, not politicians, but those who are in we call what? They're not legend. They're called what? Those who claim to be politicians because they have been elected or they've attained those positions in whichever way they do. the legacy politicians, I have very low opinion of almost 80 to 90% of them. Because, and that's why Kenyans ask, kwani mtu akikuja aingie kwa siasa, ni nini hufanyika? And I would have loved somebody to research on that, because the answers are very simple. Why do people turn and start talking that way? Before I even go into what Naito Alama, or whoever it is, was talking about, I would want to kind of look at what Wamombi was presenting. Now, there are a few issues that Wamombi was presenting, and these are issues that I would want Gachagua and the opposition to take it very seriously. Okay. Chiruma Gachagua's presser was cancelled. Can you confirm? Okay, Njiro is not here, but when he comes, maybe you will read that. So there are few things that have come up from that Wamombi's presentation. He's accusing and stating that Gachagua has a team that has access to guns, access to tear gas. Says someone has access to AK-47, has access to tear gas, and this guy is saying that in a press conference, talking to the entire country. What does that speak of Kenya and its government? When those of you who may have some ideas about security, what does that speak to people living within the country called Kenya, meaning the citizens? What does that speak to foreigners that live within our borders, the expats, the expatriates, the business people, the investors, that will have a group that has access to guns and tear gas? Meaning what? And you are saying they are fake? So what are you talking about? You are telling us that security in this country is so threatened, is so hogwash, that somebody in his private capacity can access what is supposed to be in the hands of the government. It's worrying. It's worrisome. And this government, if they are part of what Wamombi was presenting, it's a confirmation that they don't know. They don't know the way, they are confused, and it now confirms to what Kenyans have concluded, that the government is only in place to loot. And you know, when somebody has come in your granary to loot, they don't care whether ingine inamwagika ama imwagiki. Those of you who have witnessed monkeys invading a farm, you can see, or you must have witnessed how they do it. The monkeys enter the farm, they pick as much as they can, some even putting in on the armpits, some falling. They don't care about, they destroy so much, but they now care about how much they will be able to get out of that shamba or out of that granary. Is that what is driving this government? All indicators show the same. They confirm, yes, it is true that as we talk of, oh, the government does this, the government does that, the government is there only to loot as much as possible for whatever future they are planning for. A very, 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 very risky area. Wamumbi says he has some videos. Yeah, he has some videos, people speaking to Rusha kwa kanisa and do that and do this. All that he says akonayo, can we really follow and compel him to come out and give it? Okay, and give it. We want that to be properly recorded. Now, he says private licensed gun holders are the ones that are goons. So private licensed gun holders ndio sasa Kenya wanaitwa goons, because Gachagua has made arrangements to be or to have that security. Now, what does security chapter say? Does it mean that for a Kenyan who feels that he needs security, he has only to become an MP in order to have security? Isn't security self? Because if I feel insecure and I go and apply and go and state it, and then I can get whoever I feel can be able to protect me, I don't think there is any limitation. And the best that I can do is to look for people who are licensed, firearm license. If I want a bodyguard, how would I take a bodyguard that doesn't have a firearm? So I'll put an advert, or I'll talk through friends that I need a bodyguard. Nimuandike kazi, lakini lazima akuwe ni authorized firearm holder. So when Wamumbi sits there and questions who is Gachagua to be able to move around with armed people, I think that is tired. It is very tired. Okay, if you can afford to have armed security in Kenya, the best you can do is to go and get the licensed ones. And for example, Gachagua has been a DP, so he must feel like insecure, and he has a right to have his own security. He is also a businessman, and he is also a Kenyan of interest to many Kenyans. So the question of why he moves around with policemen, with whoever it is, and is armed, is a childish. That's why I came back, and I don't like the kind of talking or antagonizing age, because age is, it's not a good trajectory. But in this case, I had to really call a friend of mine to ask, how old is this man? Because when I listened to the things that he was presenting there with all those authorities and talking and speaking with finality, I realized it's somebody who is so green and naive, not only as a mheshimiwa or as a politician, but he's so naive in all aspects of being in a society. Okay, and he's just in the bracket of those who get so excited. Something I hate about being young is because when you are so young, you get excited so easily. You drive a Mercedes, you want the whole village to know, even if it's rental. You buy a stereo system, you are so excited. So this one guy here, it's so unfortunate that he is so determined. There is a show, kuna kipindi ameweka, it's a kipindi that anatackle Mbuyu, anaita Gachagua, wako kwa match, yani they are in the match, wanapimana nguvu na Gachagua. And if I were Gachagua, I would take this small boy or whoever it is head on. And that's why sometimes it's good to discipline people in whichever way you deem fit. I would want to engage this kind of a person direct, one-on-one. And I don't know why Gachagua didn't deal with such things. Unfortunately, this is one thing I keep falling to which I call like mapungufu. Gachagua, he goofed in so many critical things which are eating him now. Okay, and he goofed because he was also driven by the stomach. This I can never stop saying. He also was not seeing anything else but pesa, money. Okay, that's why he was not able to see some of these very stupid things that were happening. But now he realized too late after when he was thrown out. So even him Gachagua anaota tu anachomwa na moto yake. Ile kisu alinoa mwenyewe ndio inamkata. And that's why sometimes it can be so severe. It can be brought so low that he's being boxed by an uncircumcised boy, in quotes, in the central. When somebody is too young, tunamwitanga kahe, the kahe or the pig is drawing him all over and kumpaka matope and everything, and he's there. A whole former deputy president is on stage fight with with Rakonia. Rakonia is anampeleka mbio. Coming to the Nakuru guy, yes, Nakuru guy has stated things that are very right, but my worry is 62 plus years Kenya bado tuko na watu ambao wana, the people who present themselves as leaders. I know most of the leaders in Kenya are not elected, they rig themselves. And the very bad reason why we have this kind of leaders, for some of them you doubt their intellectual capacity, is because walipata pesa mahali fulani. Okay, because when you get money, it doesn't make you clever all of a sudden. Okay, we have foolish billionaires, we have stupid billionaires, because you could have done a few things. Hakuna mtu anasemanga kule ametoa pesa yake, but most of those politicians, they have either stolen money or they have been dealing with very illegal and very bad businesses. They've been civil servants who have stolen money from the government, and that's why they are able to get the initial money to come and pour during campaigns, and then they gain position of leadership. So now we have a serious problem. That's why we have people who speak, and you start wondering, wanna think na kichwa ama wanna think na bottom. That will not change until Kenyans themselves decide that we are not looking at the money, but we are looking at who the character is. Back to you, Njiro.
Yeah, Stony PK, kuna kitu nataka to compare hapa, which happened in Uganda. The son of Museveni, even as he was threatening America, he was pretending that hakuna kitu inatendekea Bobi Wine na bibi yake. I want you to see when the government inakana hakuna kitu because like they were saying that sijui nakumbuka ile wakati walikuwa nasema we cannot allow him to have people. Nataka usikie on the day of elections. Unakumbuka ile wakati serikali ya Uganda walikuwa nasema ati hakuna kitu mbaya tunafanyia Museveni? No, Museveni, hakuna kitu mbaya tunafanyia Bobi Wine. Unakumbuka hiyo siku? Stony PK.
Yeah.
Nataka sasa usikie first account ya bibi ya Bobi Wine akiwa hospitali, sasa ile mambo alifanyiwa na wanakana hakuna kitu ilikuwa inatendeka.
Nyankole, how I could end up marrying a traitor of a Muganda as if I never saw Nyankole to marry. I was wearing a biker, and on top of it, I was wearing a nightie. So he held the trousers of the nightie and pulled me up. Then he held the shirt of the nightie from the back. He was using one arm. So he held it, then he brought the phone in front of me and said, remove the password. I said, I have told you I will not remove the password. The one that he came with held me in the neck here and lifted me off my feet in the neck like this. So when he lifted me, in self-defense, I kicked him because he was in front of me. So I kicked him in the groin, and then he walked away. This one pulled me, the buttons of my shirt broke, and he stayed with my shirt in his hands. Now, I just walked away from them and went and stood in one corner. But remember, this is a house full of men. Some looked away. Some were unbothered. One of them said in Luganda, "Nedda nedda mama muddize essaati ayambale." Then one of them held his hand and walked him out. One of them picked the shirt and said, "Put up your hands and I dress you up." I said, "I can dress myself up. Give me my shirt." Gave it to me. I put it on. Of course, the buttons were not on. And then I sat down. When I sat down, they lifted me again. Now, this time by these, because I plait these when I'm going to sleep. That same man held me by my hair, lifted me up. We have poles in the sitting room, and hit my head on the pole and slit my mouth. So when he hit me, he pulled me down and sat me down. Then he pushed my head and I went down, and they sat on me. I could feel 4 bodies seated on me. Then he said, "Will you give me the password?" I said again in Unyankore, "You have already done enough. You are not getting the password." There was someone who was like commanding them. He came in, he said, "What's happening here?" He said, "Leave her alone." Then I sat. Meanwhile, in that moment, they were already upstairs, creating havoc. The ones who were outside were beating our askari and the other boy that we live with. Some other group was already in our helper's room, picking her up from her house. Now they bring her, she's holding her cross and her Bible. She is new, she doesn't know anything. They ask her, "Where is the controller room of these cameras?" She said, "I am new, I don't know anything." They bring in the askari. They want to take him upstairs. He says, "I have never gone that side. I don't know what's there." They ask him, where is the basement? And he said, "I am new here. I know nothing like the basement." They ask him, "Where are the children?" And he said, "The children went for holidays after Christmas. Where did they go?" And he said, "I don't know." So in that moment, they were already picking the camera controllers. They were already picking the MiFi. They were already picking all the phones in the room. They took AirPods, chargers, power banks, hoofers, radios, anything electrical, laptops, everything. These people were drunk. The house was stinking. So in that moment, I realized that it was not going to end. They took the girl out, they took the askari out, and then they started asking me in Runyankore, "So you brought your brother to run on the Kampala MP seat. Did he win? You think you can just bring foreigners and bring them in Kampala and think they will win in Runyankore?" And then another one asked me and says, "Okashwerwa mwinazi w'omuganda abanyankore okota kubareba. You got married to a," I don't know what they call a mwinazi. What do they call a mwinazi in English? A mwinazi is like a traitor. It's like the worst person that there can be in the world. He said, "You married that traitor of a Muganda. Were you not seeing the Banya?" And I'm taking her to the hospital. Then they checked, and then they opened for him. I think they realized already, they had known that there was an ambush and a raid in the house. So they didn't ask much.
They're still in your place, right?
They're still home. They're still there.
Maybe finally from you, did you, like, by the time, because you said you moved?
Tunipike.
Yeah.
Huyo mama aliteswa hivyo, na walikuwa wanasema tu ni vile ati wanaweka ulinzi, hawataki ati hao watu watembea ovyo ovyo. Hivyo ndivyo walifanywa siku ya uchaguzi. That night, as they were stealing the election. Huyo mama ameteswa, anakaliwa kwa kichwa, anagongeshwa chuma. Na saa hiyo, remember, his husband is hiding. because bwana yake sasa angekuwa amepatikana nilikuwa mbaya, so mama ndiye alikuwa kwa nyumba peke yake. So that is what happened in Uganda. So that is first account ya bibi ya Changulanyi, Bobi Wine, election day. Yani Museveni hataki tu kukushinda tu, anataka kukushinda na akumalize na humiliate familia yako yote. That is what happened. React now.
Kuna mahali serikali huwa inakubali anything anyway. The answer is no. The government, and kuna mahali government inakuanga imekosa makosa. The answer is no. I go back to my pet subject. Why do you think coups? Why are governments overthrown all over the world? Why do people overthrow the government? What makes people decide not to go for elections? Or why do people, when they hold elections, immediately they come and say elections are useless and they go the other way? Museveni himself, immediately they did elections, he felt the elections were not okay, and that's how he went back to the bush and came with a gun. Whoever will take or rule by the gun, he will one day be ruled by the gun as well. And for me, this is not surprising. And ukiona drum, when it is loudest, that is when it's about to burst. I've been talking about rapture, political rapture, social rapture, economic rapture. And these raptures come, it doesn't happen just at the Big Bang theory from out there, then all of a sudden. No, the raptures are always, they build. You see things building up, steam boiling, only when you don't know, but you can see this one is about to burst. It is similar. What is happening in Uganda is something that anybody in his right mind, you would ask yourself, surely, do you think that it will be business as usual when you have the president having a son as whatever position, then having the daughter as whatever position, then having the wife in that position, then having, do you think that is sustainable? Do you think that is sustainable? It is not. And for me, I tend to think the most sustainable thing is when you flow by the people. And I'll be waiting for people who will adopt what we see in the Norwegian countries or the Scandinavian countries. I would want to see any country, for example, in Africa, that will say, we want to go the Scandinavian module, take it whole as it is. Why? For me, I would like to copy paste anything that has worked without even changing a thing. Yes, ni kama hesabu. Ikiwa hii formula ndio inanipatia answer, why do I need to invent another one? Si ni copy hiyo formula yako na niende nifanye hesabu na nipate answer. So why don't we copy paste what has worked and has not caused problems? Okay? So if we feel, for example, dynasty, whatever, or the family, the royal, whatever you may want, has worked and will work for you, then let it be. If Ugandans feel the way Museveni has set it, it'll work, they will remain like that, and Bobi Wine should not actually put his family through that torture. If, for example, it's true that Museveni won, okay? But if Museveni never won, then Ugandans will definitely, one day, one time, get back to what they want or what they like. Somebody said, you could say you have the gun, but you cannot have guns that are equal to the people or the population. And that's why the rule by the gun has never been sustainable. It always falls. It is shameful that you have your people going to torture such family in the name of what? You are torturing in the name of what? And yet you have all the powers, you are going to read, you are going to do what you want to do. Why do you even go to torture this nice mama, a family woman, just because the husband is contesting? And already you know mutaiba kura. Sasa unaenda kunini. Hii ni walevi tu walikuwa wanaenda kunini kwa sababu wanaona it's a beautiful lady and all that. And these are watu ambao wanatakana kwa milango ya heaven hata wasione karibu. Okay? It is very sad. And these are what we call goons. Okay? It's the goons that you have. So what we are talking about now, Africa, we are having what we call not democracy anymore. We are having the rule of goons by the goons, for the goons. Okay? Because now we talk of goons, Uganda. Talk of goons, Tanzania. Talk of goons, Kenya. Wapi kwingine? Every other part. Okay? Then when we talk of where things are happening nicely, and I've had people here in this program yet, people, when we talk of things are happening very well in Burkina Faso, 3 out of 5 people start saying, you see. What excuse would you give? If today we got a dictator in Kenya, and I'm using that term deliberately, a dictator in Kenya that will ensure all kids go to school, they have fees, they have food, all hospitals work, all university students get money to go to school. I'm looking for that dictator. Ni akuje haraka. I want huyo tutamuita dictator na hizo vitu zikuje kufanya kazi. Mimi nitafurahi sana. I'll be very happy to go around nikisema we are being ruled by a dictator. I think I'll be one of the most proud Kenyan. Nikiambia watu, oh yeah, we have a dictator called Njiru who is making sure that parents are not stressed because of school fees. Parents are not stressed because of kids when they are the university they are getting there, whatever. Like the way it used to be. Most of us, those who went to university those years, ilikuwa bure by the way. Alafu ulikuwa unapewa boom. Those of us who are a little bit older, you know, kuna kitu ilikuwa inaitwa boom. And boom, unakuta mtu alikuwa hata mpaka unasomesha hata your sibling with that. Na umenunua system, unaishi kama king kwa hostel. So if that was doable, mimi I would want a dictator that will come and aturudishe hapo. Yes, aturudishe hapo whereby when a parent alikuwa anasikia mtu amechukuliwa university, alikuwa ana celebrate, anasema wow, mwadhani nimepumzika. Because once the kid ameenda uni, kwisha. Hakuna kitu, hata atakuwa akikuvisit, anakuja kufanyia shopping. Wow, that is what was happening. Yes. Ukienda kuvisit shosho Mukoro, unaona, na wewe mko campus, unaenda na shopping. How I would want to have a dictator that will bring that back. How I would want to have a dictator that will tell us to forget about this terminology called democracy. Iende kule itaendanga. A dictator that will ensure that elections in Kenya, mwananchi akichagua Stone PK ndiye amevotiwa sana, ndiye ameshinda. How I would be so happy nikisikia huyo dictator atanyorosha hiyo electoral system. Produce what it's supposed to produce. Not when you put in a vote, then inakupatia kiongozi wa vifaranga. Oh my God. How happy will I be and celebrate. I hope that happens in my lifetime. I want to see a dictator in Kenya that will bring the Kenya of of the 70s and 80s back, early 80s, not later 80s. That dictator namtafuta sana, sana, sana. A dictator that would now bring Kenya back to where it was, where you would go and say, I'm from Kenya, and people embrace you. You get a hug. Not when I say I'm from Kenya, somebody anaangalia on the other side. Baka unaanza kumuuliza, what did I say? I go, no, don't mind. No, it's okay. No. Let me have that dictator come back. Yes. Let me have that dictator that will now be very free and support that wananchi can have their barazas at their village level to chart their way forward. Let me have that dictator. That is the kind of dictator I want. A dictator that will come and call what we are calling public participation, akuje tuite public baraza. That you are what you say in that meeting, na hold maji, na ina pass. That is the dictator I'm looking for. So it is sad what happened to Uganda, because unfortunately that is what will be copy-pasted in Kenya, and it's a matter of time, okay? Because impunity it's very, very entrenched in the leaders of these three countries. That is what is happening, and the question or the comment is mtadu. Somebody won akasema alipata 70 something percent. Huyo wa pili naye pia alipata 70 something percent. So for the first time, Africa, led by East Africa, have started to have so popular presidents, very popular presidents, that they win overwhelmingly with 70+%. Wow, isn't that unique? That is very unique. It is where now you have the reverse psychology, that the most unpopular president becomes the most loved. That whenever you think that so and so is not loved, huyo ndiye anakuja, unaambiwa is the most popular. Today, people are saying Ruto is popular. I hear even in the press, in the news, watu wanasema Ruto is coming back. Mlima is coming back to Ruto. Mlima has gone to Ruto. I saw Wamchomba down in yellow and going, and people are like, oh my God, Wamchomba has gone back to Ruto. When did she ever leave Ruto? Kenyans, you get tossed very easily. When did Wamchomba ever leave Ruto? You know? So until we have those kind of approach, calling a spade, we will still be doomed. Back to you, Njiro. Naona unataka kwenda.
Yeah, it is true. I'm packing. Nataka kutoka sasa, ni vile napaki vitu because kesho na shida kwa site, so
Ufunge basi ndio uende basi, tuende.
Wacha nikuchezee kitu kidogo.
Sitaki kuongea peke yangu. Haya, cheza tu.
Yeah, let me just pray for you, and then
what is the best way of dealing with government bloggers and propaganda peddlers? Well, the answer to that one is very simple. You totally understand something. When you understand something, it is impossible to fall for fake narratives, propaganda, etc., which, as we all know, is flooding, currently, is really flooding our space. Now, regarding a man called Rigathi Gachagua, immediate former Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, there have been too many stories floating around. And some of the stories I'm seeing are very laughable. But guess what? The most intelligent of us, the smartest of us all, are swallowing these stories hook, line, and sinker. Now, let's get this right. I'm not saying Rigathi Gachagua is safi kama pamba. I'm not saying he's an angel. After all, he's a politician. And all politicians who have agreed on this channel are exactly the same. But we, as the voters and the citizens, what are we looking for? We're looking for change. We are looking for a better Kenya. And therefore, if a politician comes along and he offers a way in the direction we want to go, why not? Of course, he's guilty of having done this and that in the past. But hey, even that favorite politician of yours is not clean. He has also done this and that. So, on my show today, I want to make sure that at the end of it, anybody who takes in this video totally, and I mean totally, understands this Rigathi Gachagua manenos, so that going forward, you'll be totally immune to government bloggers, government propaganda and narratives, kabisa. And we will all understand why Rigathi Gachagua, like him or hate him, is a political tool we can use as long-suffering Kenyans to get out of the mess we are in and to move our country forward. Now, it would seem that it is very difficult for Bwana Gachagua to attend a church service in peace. That is what is very clear right now. Because more often than not, there'll be tear gas, there'll be goons, there'll be even the police, like we saw in Othaya yesterday. Now, I believe we all know, at least most of us, that all these attacks, all of them, are coming from the government. I hope we all understand that. And because this video is all about understanding, a good place to start is by asking the simple question, why? What purpose does this violence against Rigathi Gachagua achieve? Because it seems counterproductive. It is actually making Gachagua more and more popular by the day. It is gaining Gachagua sympathy, even from those who may not have wanted to direct any sympathy towards Rigathi Gachagua. So let's start there. Now, there is something very important we should understand about violence in Kenyan politics. Actually, this thing dates back to the colonial days. And you see, you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. And also, you cannot teach a system, an old system, new tricks. That is the problem we have in Kenya. The systems we're still using, most of them date back to colonial days. And now I'm going to say something that not all of us will agree with me immediately, but it is 1000% true. In Kenyan politics, violence has been the most effective tool by far historically. Let me repeat that. Violence has really worked in Kenyan politics. It has been so super effective. And why is violence so effective? Number one, it turns the voters. Oh yes, you do not have support in a certain area of the country or in a certain area of your constituency. Violence changes everything. Now this is very sad, but it is how Kenyan politicians have been behaving. Let me give you a quick example. When Kenya reverted back to multi-party democracy in 1992, former President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi used this tool to great effect. Older Kenyans will remember that immediately after multi-party democracy was declared, immediately after, a very strange brand new animal that we had not seen for decades emerged. The name of that animal was tribal clashes, that is violence. Let me break it down further. You may have very strong political views. You may be very much against a certain political candidate. But when vurugu enters the game, violence, everything changes. Because you're human, you want peace. And therefore you look for the best way to restore peace. I mean, you want your family safe, your kids, your wife, you want them safe. That is top priority. It is above any political inclinations you may have. And this is precisely why Moi received a surprisingly high number of votes from the House of Mumbi community in the Rift Valley after using this very unfortunate tool. And this leads us to point number 2. What this thing does, it also makes you stop supporting those people who may cause these troubles, vurugu, violence, to come back to you. Okay? Now, fast forward to the present. You know, they are very wealthy members of the House of Mumbi running huge businesses, huge industries, who now are forced to distance themselves from Rigathi Gachagua, no matter what their personal feelings are about his politics. Why? For the simple reason that they need to look after their business first, before they start talking or thinking politics. For example, you run a major media house in the country called Kenya. If you support Rigathi Gachagua directly, in a very obvious way, what will happen to your media house? You rely on the government for licenses. You rely on the government for so many things. Even advertising comes from some certain government organizations. Well, there's been a lot of controversy about that. But then, believe it or not, there is still some government advertising that trickles into our media. I'm sure now you're getting it. But to spell it out, the violence is a clear message to anybody who may want to support that character. Stay away. Don't touch. Hiyo ni vitima. Too hot to handle. Touch it and serikali will deal with you. Now, theoretically, even supporters of that character, who is always visited by violence, will hesitate before they attend this man's rally, because anything can happen. The rally can be disrupted. The stopover conversation with the people, the meet the people tour, as we call them in Kenya, can be disrupted with lethal and maybe sometimes fatal consequences. So you stay away. You're wise. You stay away. Now, here's the super fascinating thing. It would seem, in my opinion, that this time around, this ancient tool from the colonial days has failed to work in the Murima region. Okay? Now, why? Why has it not worked? Simple answer. The times, they are changing. Oh, yes. Kenyans are fed up. Most Kenyans have reached that point of, I don't care. After all, it can't get much worse than it already is. It can't get much worse. Therefore, Haiduru, I don't care. But still, the government keeps on using it again and again and again. Why? Well, in my opinion, 2 reasons. You can't teach an old system new tricks. What else do you want them to do? They can't think beyond that. Those security boys, they're training. There is nothing in their training manual that is an option to this tool. Yeah, as uncouth, as unconstitutional, as illegal as it is, there is no plan B. And the second reason is that actually it still has some impact. How so? Now, there is a very important section of voters called women. Okay? Women will always play it safe. And if you have noticed, with Rigathi Gachagua rallies and his campaigns, women hawako wengi, they are not many. Now, for anybody who has been involved in a serious political campaign in the country called Kenya, they will already have this information. Women are very influential in politics, especially when it comes to an election. If you want to know, for instance, who is going to win in a certain constituency, listen to what the women are saying. You will know very early the person who's going to win. Okay? And
Anyway, that is Chris Kumekucha. He was giving his appeal on what happened to Gachagua and the hard tackles which have been done. Yeah. So Stony PK, I think we will meet tomorrow. Wacha nifunge. Hiyo ni sawa?
Sawa.